Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today I'll be ranking every hack in Hyperscape using a tier list. My list is quite simple and all you need to know is S tier hacks are essential and F tier hacks should be avoided. Of course, I'll be providing a more concise definition of each tier as I go through them. So then, there are 11 hacks available in the game right now and each one will grant you abilities relating to offense, defense or movement, and they can all be upgraded multiple times by fusing copies of the same hack together. You could argue that hacks are more important than weapons in Hyperscape, especially when it comes to the late game, and I'm hoping this video will filter out all the bad ones for you. Also, keep in mind that this list is subjective and purely based on my opinion. It's okay to disagree and I'd love to know what you guys think in the comments down below. Feel free to leave a like and subscribe for more of the same content. So then, let's get started. F tier. These are the worst of the worst hacks and you shouldn't pick these up. Fortunately, there's only one F tier hack in Hyperscape, which is the magnet. This new hack was introduced with season 1 and even though we haven't had much time to play around with it, I don't see it becoming a viable option anytime soon as it only works in very niche situations. At the moment, the hack requires a lot of planning ahead and relies on you having an explosive weapon such as a skybreaker to cause huge chunks of damage. If you don't happen to have one, trapped enemies will quickly disperse and undoes all the hard work leading up to that moment. So a lot of timing, placement and strategy is required and even then you'll get little in return. Sure, it's a fun hack to try out and great for challenges, but if you're looking to win, then you should avoid it at all cost. If I could make any changes to the magnet hack, I'd increase the trap duration and extend the effective range vertically, and that will allow us to lift players and trap players in the air for easy pickings. D tier. These are below average hacks and stray from the current meta. In this category we have the wall hack. This hack allows you to place walls and can be used to seal off rooms and corridors. It's also great at blocking mines, trapping enemies and can lift you up by simply pointing at your feet. It's a handy hack to have at any stage of the game, but there are a few downsides. Placing a wall indoors isn't always consistent and can leave you exposed when you desperately need cover. Also, with Hyperscape being such a fast-paced game, this hack will slow you down in comparison to the rest. I don't think wall needs a buff, but they should fix the indoor bug and that will make it a lot more viable inside of buildings. Also, keep in mind the map design greatly influences the effectiveness of wall, and if we had a more open map, wall would get so much more use. I'm not asking for more open maps by the way, just to make that clear. Moving on, reveal is in this category too. This hack reveals all enemies for a few seconds in any direction you point. It's the only hack available that can counter invisibility and is useful early on in hot drop situations or when you're going for high kill games. This mostly works in organized squads when you've got plenty of variety and backup, but not so much in solos. The reason for that is players rarely camp in Hyperscape and the fast paced nature of the game makes it less appealing to pick up. I found the biggest issue with reveal being the target area. It's currently too small for a game with so much verticality where players can appear anywhere on your screen. I would say reveal needs a buff, but I'm assuming the target area is limited to the maximum FOV on console. So perhaps there's a cross-platform balancing issue and probably the reason why we haven't seen a credible buff yet. Either way, I think something needs to be done to make it a bit more appealing to pick up. Next up we have ball. This hack doesn't need much explaining and is probably the most memorable hack in the game. This giant ball can bounce over tall buildings and protect you with its armor. This hack clearly specializes in movement and can get you across the map in no time. The most recent patch buffed the HP up to 60 and that slightly increased its survivability, but I still don't think it's sufficient enough. Currently, the ball hack is slow and a massive target and really easy to hit, which makes it hard to disengage with. So overall, it's neither great offensively or defensively, but rather just an easy way to get around. Having said that, don't underestimate it when it's paired with invulnerability and could potentially be a great crown rush strategy. If I could make any changes to it, I'd slightly increase the travel speed to further amplify its strength, just to give it a bit more viability on its own. C tier. These hacks are average and a decent choice for a decent round. For this category I've chosen Invulnerability, previously known as Armor. This hack used to be part of the meta during the technical test, but presently, several nerfs later, it's just about average. Nevertheless, it does seem to perform well when paired with heal, or if you got an organised squad to fall back to. Outside of those few exceptions, it won't largely impact your game in any way. The biggest downside to armor is the reduction of speed once you activate it. This makes it harder to escape from enemies, and with only a 5-second duration, it turns out to be quite an unreliable disengagement hack. Luckily enough though, the most recent patch did buff the time it takes to trigger auto health regen, and that means you'll start to see your health regen as soon as you come out of Invulnerability. You can also use armor offensively to catch players off guard, and it seems like players fall for it when you're unarmed, but little do they know, the non-existent trigger delay can easily turn the tables. I do believe armor is in a decent spot right now, and I wouldn't make any changes for the moment. The next hack in this category is Mine. This hack used to be completely broken and net you several kills without breaking a sweat. However, a lot has changed since the beta, and I believe for the better. This mine still targets enemies that enter its effective range, but now deals far less damage than before. 45 HP to be exact, and that is pretty modest compared to the previous 75. This has turned mine into a more strategic hack and is now best used for blocking off areas. Placing mines on stairs and near doorways will deter players and stall them long enough for you to get away. Don't get me wrong, it's still a decent offensive hack when used during a firefight, but above average players will easily outmaneuver it. Would I make any changes to the mine? Not really. We've had 3 or more versions so far, and the current one seems to be the most balanced. B tier. These hacks are great but just short of amazing. For this category I've chosen Shockwave. This is a ranged AoE hack that knocks players back and causes damage. In addition, the hack can propel you into the air by aiming at your feet. It's basically a really versatile hack and extremely effective offensively, while at the same time being a great mobility hack. The best of both worlds, you could say. Shockwave really starts to shine when you combine it with a max level protocol or shotgun. All you need to do is land a single body shot and finish them off with Shockwave. The only issue is Slam is capable of doing the same, if not more, and requires less skill to use. This leaves Shockwave in a weird position because of its competitors. If I could make any changes to the hack, I'd reduce the cooldown time, but only by a second or 2. Apart from that, it's a great hack now that the consistency issues have been fixed. A tier. These hacks are exceptionally good and dictate the meta. The first hack in this category is Teleport. A speedy mobility hack, but unlike the others, it doesn't telegraph your movement. This eliminates any chance of being hit while moving, unlike Slam and Shockwave. The major benefit of using Teleport is that players won't be able to see you coming or going. You instantly move in the direction you're aiming, and for most of the time players completely fail to track you, giving you enough time to disengage. Not to forget, it's super useful for getting on top of buildings, covering distance in a short amount of time, and during the low gravity event. For example, if you accidentally jump too high during the low grav event, it can get you out of trouble and down to the ground in no time. Going forward, I don't think Teleport needs a buff or a nerf, as that would significantly impact the flow of the game. The next hack is Heal. This hack lets you drop a health station that will automatically heal you and your teammates. If you've seen my tips and tricks video, then you'll know it can heal through floors and walls and can only be countered by destroying the heal icon at the center. The reason I've ranked heal so high is because it's extremely effective in high time to kill environments. Placing a heal down during a gunfight will almost guarantee you a win, since you're able to regen health while being hit. When using this tactic, only a fully fused protocol or mammoth can take you out with a well placed headshot. Also, using heal minimizes your downtime and keeps you from disengaging. You won't have to retreat and wait long periods of time to get your health back. This makes it ideal for high kill games and aggressive players. Would I make any changes to it? No. I think it's perfectly fine in its current state. The last item in this category is Slam. This hack lets you leap into the air and Thanos slam back to the ground, dealing damage to nearby enemies and knocking them back. It requires little skill to master and turns defense into attack in a split second. What makes it really stand out though is being able to slam indoors and bypass the slam animation. These aren't just exploits and bring a whole new dimension to the game. Not to forget, you can steer your slam in any direction you want, making it ideal for moving around the map. The only downside I can think of is players can hear you coming from a distance because of the loud sound it makes, but I feel this is a fair way to balance the hack. Honestly, I could have ranked Slam higher if I were to base it on console only. The lack of peripheral view available on consoles makes it easier to slip out of someone's line of sight and makes it harder for your enemies to track you. Overall, Slam is by far the best mobility hack available by a long stretch, and I'm hoping it stays that way for the foreseeable future. And finally, S tier. These hacks are just superb and indispensable. For this God tier category, I've coincidentally chosen Invisibility. This might be a controversial pick, but as a solo player who doesn't have anyone to rely on, this is my free get out of jail card. Being able to go invisible the second I'm in trouble has saved my life countless of times and has got me to the end game more often than not. Not only is it great for disengaging, it's really dangerous when used defensively. Pair invisibility with a shotgun and you'll never feel clean again. Of course, you can be countered by reveal, but no one seems to be using it at the moment, and is probably the main reason why it's so viable at the moment. Granted, it's not as good as it used to be, but that shouldn't make much of a difference to a good player. Just remain unpredictable and stay clear of choke points. So if you're struggling to stay alive and want to survive for longer, I'd highly recommend Invis to be your go-to hack. I personally don't want to see any further changes made to Invis, but that could change depending on how the meta evolves. So that's my tier list for hacks, and if you guys would like to see me make one for weapons, then leave a like and I might be tempted to do one. If you're new here, subscribe for more of the same content, and I'll see you later. Take care.